I've got a toothache, I think. Oh my God, what is this? Another podcast, is it? Have to do it before I die. Como cateo, papa papayo, adios, adios, volveyo.
Regardless of the outcome of the big game this weekend, you could be the real winner. With people out and about looking for
caused by what we call DFT1, which is devil facial tumor disease. And that is the tumor that emerged sometime just before 1995. We do now have a second contagious cancer in the Tasmanian devil population termed DFT2. And it is now responsible for some declines, but in a very limited geographic area where it's still located.
And you say this is a contagious cancer. So how does it spread from one animal to...
How come I talk about fuck you, man? Jump from one animal to another. What's this? You making up diseases? You fuck up. Get rid of diseases. Be nice to us, human. We need to get rid of the virus. Disgusting, yucky.
another?
It's
with the virus. Fuck off with the virus. We protest.
It's a little bit like
the virus. Fuck off with the virus. Fuck off with the virus.
Like for us, a virus or bacteria, because it can...
Virus. Get out with the virus. Unhealthy Joe Biden virus. The world virus. Fun virus. Sexy virus. Fuck the virus.
Pass when the devils contact each other. Rather than being...
I love you, YouTube website. I love you. Subscribe.
A virally induced...
I love you.
Tumor. This is actually the cancer cells themselves that are able to pass between individuals. And we think in the case of the Tasmanian devils that this is primarily occurring when they bite each other, which unfortunately they do tend to do when they're fighting and in the mating season as well. Our best evidence at the moment is that these cells are actually grafting into the next devil when this biting behavior occurs. And once these tumor cells then seed into the next individual, they grow and establish and make a new tumor, which can then be passed on to the next individual.
That's rare, isn't it? Because cancer is made up of a unique individual's cells that have gone rogue in a way. So what is it, do you think, that makes this cancer able to transmit in a population?
We think that these tumours are taking advantage of the fact that although genetic diversity is not so low that these animals are clonal or exactly the same, they do have a lower level of genetic diversity than in populations that have more healthy numbers. We do think that these tumours may be taking advantage of this fact, and that may be allowing them.
How do we debate it then? Fuck you, fuck you. Killing the humans, kill the extraterrestrial doctors, fucking, and that fucking sexy scientists, fuck up.
To initially start to spread between a few individuals. After that, though, the idea that there is not enough genetic diversity in the population, and so this is allowing the tumour to take hold, that idea breaks down a little bit because we do have some genetic diversity and enough genetic diversity in the population to stop the tumour spreading. But tumours are very good at acquiring new mutations, and they adapt, of course. They adapt to their environment. And so they will acquire adaptations that are then helping them to then passage between individuals. And we have found that one of the adaptations that they have made, these tumours, is to lose some of the proteins, or what we call antigens, on the cell surface of the tumours that are usually a flag for the immune system and would stop the tumour from transferring between individuals. This adaptation then allows the tumours to essentially become silent or invisible in the population.
Are the cells in this tumour the same in every individual infected?
Essentially, yes. So when we say they're the same, they all have derived from a single ancestral tumour cell, which is a cell in a Tasmanian devil that became malignant a long time ago.
Can't debate it. We can't win. We can't debate it. We can't win. You are the power. Why you got the power? You are the power. Why you got the power? You are the power. Why you got the power? You are the power. Why you got the power? You are the power. Why you got the power? You are the power. Why you got the power? You are the power. Why you got the power? You are the power. Why you got the power? Oh, nothing. I love you. I can be no. You are the power. Question. Listen and reply. Kill the earth. Fuck you. I love you. Fuck you. I love you. Very good. I love you. I love you. Family. Share all this, share, like, intermix hector, share, like, subscribe. Fuck you, I love you, fuck you, I love you, yeah, anything, question, debate, good future.
The tumours that are currently circulating in the Tasmanian devil will be slightly different to what they were when that tumour first arose and started transferring, because they've acquired new genetic mutations, new adaptations to their environment.
You mentioned that there are 2 of these contagious cancers in Tasmanian devils. So what's happened there? Is this the same disease, but it's just a really mutated version, or is it something new entirely?
It is something new entirely, in that it arose in a completely independent manner from a different individual, this second tumour. Really, really unusual to have that occur. And actually, this is the only mammalian species where we know that that's occurred. We think that the second tumour arose sometime around 2014. And interestingly, we think we've been tracing this from nearly the beginning of its genesis. There is a lot of effort going into trapping Tasmanian devils in the geographic location of DFT2, which is in the southeast of Tasmania, and it's quite confined at the moment. Although recent efforts have shown that it is moving northwards, and so it is starting to spread, unfortunately.
Can we win the question? Question. My question. You win. You're too strong. You're powerful. I'm nothing. I'm just a civilian, an idiot. Nothing. Me, nothing. You win. You're the police. You're the ambulance. You're God. You're the technology. You're everything, everywhere. Why you're at YouTube, Google, International Computer Network. Naked science. Pusha, pa, tu, bam, pam. I love you. Share, like. Ooh.
And become more prevalent.
It seems like an unusual phenomenon for this to happen twice in one species. Is this a case of lightning striking twice in the same place? Or are these animals, do you think, just susceptible to these types of conditions?
I think it probably...
Question it, please. Question it, please. Debate it, please. Intermix hector, YouTube, subscribe. Intermix hector, YouTube, subscribe.
Probably is lightning striking twice, as you say.
Question it, debate it, please. Question it, debate it, please.
But I think we need to probably be more aware in wildlife generally. Possibly these tumours are arising at different times, but that they don't have the success that DFT1 and DFT2 have had in the population. So I think it's probably likely that these tumours do arise sometimes.
With communicable diseases in humans, we aim to treat them. We aim to develop vaccinations or other medical treatments. Is anything in the line like that for Tasmanian devils? Will there be a vaccine for these tumours, do you think?
Transmissible tumours should be not easy to vaccinate against, but they should present some sort of routes for vaccination. And certainly we've been able to show that if we can restore some of these antigens that I was talking about before that usually coat the tumour cells, then if you put those into a Tasmanian devil or in a co-culture situation, which is what we call this, then we can actually see an immune response against these antigens on the tumour cells. So that tells us that the Tasmanian devil immune system is capable of responding. But unfortunately, it does seem as if this type of vaccine with these antigens on the surface of the tumour cells, it does work in some animals, but it doesn't seem to work in 100% of animals. And we're not quite sure what the efficacy of that is and why it doesn't work in some instances. So I think we need to do just a bit more work to understand what it is that the immune system responds to and whether then we could make a more targeted vaccine based on that information.
Let's hope they can. Hannah Siddle there from the University of Southampton. Now, Tasmanian devils, as we've just been hearing, are one mammal that experiences these transmissible tumours. But another animal, probably one that's even more familiar to you, is one that we all know and love. It's our best friend, and that's dogs. They're also victims of a contagious cancer. And here to tell us more about that one is Elizabeth Murchison from the Transmissible Cancers Group at the University of Cambridge. Tell us first, what is this transmissible tumour in dogs and how does it spread?
Dog transmissible cancer is quite different to the one in Tasmanian devils. It's also spread between animals by the transfer of living cancer cells themselves. But in this case, the cells are spread during mating, and this results in genital tumours. It's actually very, very common, although most people in the UK probably haven't heard of it. And that's because its main reservoir is free-roaming, sexually active, uncontrolled dog populations. And as we know, they don't occur in the UK anymore. But actually, interestingly, this disease was first described in the scientific literature in the UK 200 years ago in London. So we know it was common here once, but it disappeared in the 20th century due to the control of dogs.
And what fraction of dogs worldwide have got it then?
It's extraordinary. About 1% of dogs worldwide in places where this is endemic, which is most places, have this disease. So it's extraordinarily common. It's quite shocking to think how many dogs have this disease. But it's different to the Tasmanian devil cancer in that it's not nearly as deadly. Dogs with this disease, they tend to have localized tumours which remain in the external genitalia. They don't metastasize or spread to other parts of the body that frequently. And also the other wonderful thing is that this disease is highly curable with a course of simple chemotherapy. Most of these dogs, almost 100% of them, will undergo a complete cure. And we think that that's actually something to do with the immune system rather than to do with the way that chemotherapy drugs act per se.
Hannah Siddle was telling us about the Tasmanian devils that there's evidence that in each case, because there were two diseases, they've originated from one individual. Is the same true with the dog tumour then?
Exactly, and that's the really fascinating thing about this dog cancer, that all the tumours and all of these dogs all around the world, they all carry the cells of one individual dog that first gave rise to this cancer. Extraordinarily, we think that that one dog lived about 6,000 years ago, and that dog was a dog which got a cancer. Rather than that cancer dying together with its dog host, as most cancers do, those cancer cells spread to another host, and from there that one single cancer lineage has survived for thousands of years and has spread all around the world. And it's by far the most prolific and widespread cancer that we know of in nature. It's really a really remarkable phenomenon.
How do you know it's 6,000 years old?
Well, that's an estimate, and it's based on counting mutations in the genome of this cancer. So as cancer cells, or actually indeed any cell, divides, it will accumulate mutations with time. So what we've been able to do is estimate how quickly cells of this dog cancer accumulate mutations, and we've done that by collecting tumours where we know the tumour was spread from one dog to another dog, and we know when that happened. So by counting the number of mutations in these short intervals, we've been able to estimate how many mutations occur per unit time. And then by counting the number of mutations back to that original dog and applying this mutation rate, we've been able to come up with this estimate, which does have huge error associated with it. So we think around 6,000 years ago, give or take a few thousand years.
Why do you think that...
Pray to God, pray to Jesus, pray to power, religion.
Alan Godfrey saw.
Oh, yeah.
The flying saucers in Todmorden. was one of these plasmas. Now, nice idea, but if you talk to a plasma physicist, something that big that he described that was sitting there in front of him, if that was a plasma, he'd have been basically fried alive. I mean, this thing is like nuclear energy.
Yeah, like radiation.
You're listening.
Everywhere. It's not going to be like, oh, let me just like send a thing like right there.
Chile, Argentina, Argentina, I love you, question. Pew, 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 pew. Wow.
And then, so.
Question, I love you, question.
Yes, I think that's what we found.
I love you, question. Hallelujah.
Whether it's
go sick, crazy, sick or sick, fully sick.
a portal, like in the sense of a tear in the sky, or is it some sort of anomaly, the atmosphere, an atmospheric anomaly that allows a sort of opening? Whatever that is, it is definitely an opening.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could possibly be an interdimensional tunnel or a wormhole of some sort. So, again, another speculative question, but if you had to hazard a guess, what do you think these others represent? Could they be extraterrestrial, interdimensional? Do you think they've been here all along? Or do you think it's a combination of possibly all of those different things?
Yes, I'm more and more convinced. The more I study the phenomenon, the more I have experiences and the more I work with other people who have these experiences, and especially after this film, I'm 100% convinced that it's definitely not one thing. You know, we really want it to be one thing. We want the government to come out and tell us.
Good. Why you not letting me say good? Why you not letting me say good? Why you not letting me say good? Why are you not letting me say good? Good God. Jesus Christ is good. God, Jesus Christ is good, God. Why you not letting me say good, God? Why you not letting me say good? Why you got so much power? Why you're the boss? You win. I can't burn anything. I'm not burning nothing. Back up.
Hey, you know, we've been talking.
Jesus Christ, I love you. Hoof, kisses, smooch, sporty. I'll save your life.
Talking to ETs and blah, blah, blah. Or it is just.
Yes, extra yes. YouTube, Google, subscribe to intermix hector.
The black project or something. It depends. I mean, we've captured things that I can tell you, I'm 100% convinced this is a US, human technology, very advanced technology, and drone-like technology that exists. And of course, they're not going to talk about it because it is a black project. But some of the other things that we captured that morph, that are more light-like, you know, as opposed to solid, you know, drone-like, that morph and do things also, whether people believe it or not, I don't care, honestly, at this point. It's like there is a connection. It's almost like you see this sort of light that morphs into another shape that, of course, is behaving totally strangely. And then you have some sort of interaction with it, and then it disappears. Those types of things, it is extraterrestrial. Humans don't even know what consciousness is, you know, like, or how the mind works. They don't know how the brain works. They don't know how the universe works. So for them to come up with a technology like this, no.
No, I agree completely. I do think that some of this definitely represents a non-human intelligence. It's just a case of who are they, where.
Go off, sexy and you know it, blah, 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 question. Let me play a question. Let me do question. Any question? What's the question? Faka, panka, taka, waka, waka. Maka, raka, fa, rapa. What the? Why, question?
Hey there, listener. Have something to say? Then you're already a podcaster.
Sound, whether that's pitch, rhythm, tempo, whatever. And that process is known as data sonification, and it's frequently used by scientists.
Thanks, Alex. I'll be interested to hear how that launch goes on Sunday.
And now some messages from our sponsors.
People age at different speeds, and the date on your birth certificate may not represent your inner biological age at all. If you're looking for ways to extend your health span and slow down the aging process, the keys to health...
China virus, too many virus, kill the virus. Everybody, I love you. YouTube, I love you, family, sexy and you know it.
and longevity may run in your blood.
That's why Inside Tracker provides you with a personalised plan to improve your metabolism, reduce stress, improve sleep, and optimise your health for the long haul. Inside Tracker analyses your blood, DNA, and fitness tracking data to identify where you're optimised and where you're not. You'll get a daily action plan with personalised guidance on the right exercise, nutrition, and supplementation.
Sexy scientist. I love you and you know it. Kill the virus. I love you and you know it. Sexy scientist.
For your body.
For a limited time, get 20%.
University students, China, America, Earth, war, human rights protest.
Off the entire Inside Tracker store. Just go to insidetracker.com.
Exercise
may not represent your inner biological age at all. If you're looking for ways to extend your health span and slow down the aging process, the keys to health and longevity may run in your blood.
That's why Inside Tracker provides you with a personalised plan to improve your metabolism, reduce stress, improve sleep, and optimise your health for the long haul. Inside Tracker analyses your blood, DNA, and fitness tracking data to identify where you're optimised and where you're not. You'll get a daily action plan with personalised guidance on the right exercise, nutrition, and supplementation for your body.
For a limited time, get 20% off the entire Inside Tracker store. Just go to insidetracker.com/new scientist. That's insidetracker.com/new scientist.
How do we hear? What parts of our brain respond to sound? And how does the brain make sense of what we hear?
How We're Wired is a new neuroscience podcast from the Bertarelli Foundation. And in the latest episode, you can join evolutionary anthropologist Dr. Anna Mayton on a sensory journey exploring the world of sound and how we hear it. You'll meet a dancer who remembers being able to hear clearly for the very first time. You'll learn how our brains break down complex sound in a noisy environment. And you'll experience a device which expands the pleasure we get from music. The podcast is How We're Wired from the Bertarelli Foundation. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your...
Welcome to Acast.
Hey, love debate. Vamos chileno, porque Chile tenemos que ganar. Sexy and you know it. I love you. Debate. Protest. Championate. Oh, you're good. You're the best. You are. Everything. Bomba.
And then there's going to be the first.
Means that, maybe they've just got more time to relax and get creative with their masturbation repertoires. And then they also spend time on the ground where there are obviously lots of stones at their disposal. They're not just monkeys that spend all their time in trees. So I guess they can put them to good use.
So they're literally just lying around masturbating all day.
Well, apparently they do it in a seated position, but yes.
And,
also spend... That means that, maybe they've just got more time to relax and get creative with their masturbation repertoires. And then they also spend time on the ground where there are obviously lots of stones at their disposal. They're not just monkeys that spend all their time in trees. So I guess they can put them to good use.
So they're literally just lying around masturbating all day.
Well, apparently they do it in a seated position, but yes.
And, stupid question, but why are they doing it?
Well, yeah, I guess you could ask the same for ourselves and all other species that masturbate, which I've discovered it seems to be kind of everything. There's, other than monkeys, there's horses, lions, walruses, deer, rhinos, vampire bats, sheep, birds, and even porcupines. And there are various theories to explain why it might be so common, like perhaps in males it helps to clear out low-quality sperm or something. But that doesn't really make sense in the context of these Balinese macaques, because the genital rubbing and tapping doesn't actually lead to ejaculation.
Yeah, well, so it may be just that it feels good.
Yeah, that's another explanation that's been proposed, that maybe it's just this byproduct thing, meaning because sexual intercourse feels good, so does masturbation. And as long as it doesn't affect your ability to reproduce, you're still mating and producing offspring in addition to masturbating, then there's no real evolutionary reason to weed it out. As the lead author of this study explained to me, Camilla Cheney from the University of Lethbridge, it's good, I'm doing it, why should I stop?
Yeah. It does make me think of Jane Goodall, when she first found that chimps use tools, and that was just such a massive discovery because it was the big thing that we thought only humans use tools and that no other animals would do it. And one by one, we've seen all these other things that we think are uniquely human fall down, and now we're at sex toy use.
I mean, where will it stop?
Let's take a quick break to tell you about New Scientist.
Presented by Julia Cook and Joseph Araya at the Open University. They both advised on The Green Planet, that great Attenborough series that we enjoyed earlier this year, and they'll be talking about all the amazing things that plants do but are often overlooked.
Go to newscientist.com/live to book tickets to this unmissable event. It's also podcast recommendation time. If you're interested in science and you're looking for another show, then we'd highly recommend checking out one of today's uploaded entomology
for Series 4, and it kicked off with an hour-long interview with a guest we spoke to a few episodes ago, the environmental activist George Monbiot.
Other guests have included entomologist and broadcaster Dr. George McGavin, the Yorkshire shepherdess Amanda Owen, young environmentalist Dara McAnulty, and even one of today's upcoming guests, the sound artist Chris Watson.
There's a whole archive of fascinating conversations to dig through, and there's even a special series exploring the 56-ish native trees of the British Isles.
Search Trees a Crowd in your podcast player of choice, or check the show notes for a link.
Welcome to Acast Recommends. Every week, we pick some of our favourite shows, and this is one we think you're gonna love.
G'day, I'm Osher Ginsberg. And I'm Charlie Clausen. We are two clear tantrums. We started Dad Pod, a podcast by...
Those levels of radiation would be higher than the CERN. Will eventually go to Mars. It's a sustained investment in space exploration. But then we've also got these two...
Subscribe to this show and hundreds more now via Acast.
One, which is going to go around the moon. And then there's going to be the first orbital launch of SpaceX's Starship, which, as we've said before, is the biggest rocket ever made. And that's the rocket that will eventually go to Mars. I know you're very excited about this, Penny.
I'm conflicted. Space exploration, it's wonderful, but I also don't think we can be trusted with other planets until we've shown we can look after our own. Well,
as you know, one of the big issues about getting people to Mars is the exposure that you're going to get to radiation during the flight out there, and then once you're on the surface. And now some new simulations show that even with metal shielding on the spacecraft, those levels of radiation would be higher than the safe limits currently set by space agencies.
Yeah, so I know that there have been lots of issues around sort of previous studies looking at the radiation dosing that might happen in Mars and the effects that might have on the body. Not least that a lot of these studies focus only on male bodies.
Yeah, exactly. So the new simulations are much more comprehensive, and they use virtual models of male and female bodies being bombarded with cosmic radiation and solar bursts. And they look...
The following is a conversation with Andrew Booster.
You can trust them to
boom,
behave within a certain pattern. You can trust an asshole to be an asshole without trusting the asshole to take care of your kids, right? So I don't ever want to mix up the idea of personal trust versus trusting the outcome. You can always trust a person to operate within their pattern of behavior. It just takes time for you to get consistent feedback as to what that baseline is for them.
To form a good model, predictive model of what their behavior is going to be like.
Right. And, it's
The following is a conversation
of the antagonist. They were brother is mourning a death, but outside everybody's celebrating a birth. He said, and that's what it's like when you die. And I love that image.
The grass is.
That every image of what it's like is foolish. Like Mark Twain has, I think in Letters from Earth, he says, we're going to lie on green fields and listen to harp music, which you wouldn't want to do for 5 minutes while you're alive, but you think you'll be happy for the rest of eternity doing it after you die. So I don't know. This world was a surprise. So why shouldn't the next world be a surprise? I have no idea. But I really like this parable that's told by a guy in a book on death and mourning, by a rabbi in a book on death and mourning, about twins in a womb. He says, and one of them believes that there's a life outside and the other one doesn't. He says, the one who doesn't says, look, this is the only world we've ever seen, the only world we've ever known. Why do you think there's something out there? He says, now imagine the one who believes is born. Back in the womb, his brother is mourning a death. But outside, everybody's celebrating a birth. He says, and that's what it's like when you die. And I love that image.
The grass is always greener. It's the new step. But the eternity thing is an interesting one. It's yet another concept that I feel humans are fully inequipped.
No working, Diva. Etaba. Trump, something Trump. His house. I do. Beep. Double cow. Oh, give me. Oh. Bao cow. We look for it. Cái tao cá bồ quẹo. Nó mới tao bồ quẹo. Hả? Mình nó quẹo. Tôi we don't know. Mutala patata. Okay. I love you. I can 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 love you. Hug. Mueve la mano. Move your hand. Vamos. Put the hand. Mamo. Namo mamo. No, pues esto está es viejo. No, también es estoy. Ay, what are you doing, man? Párala, stupid.
You need to rectify this problem. They didn't even tell me what it was. I had to call.
All right, you just dropped me and said that you, for whatever reason, why? Oh, we're sorry, sir. You can't sell eggs because that breaks against our policy.
Wow.
I'm like, well, nuts. You guys can go screw yourselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane. When was this? When did this happen?
2 years ago.
Jeez.
And I asked her, what are we going to do about this? She's like, oh, we'll just
old chicken push. Coming.
They were selling cars, and then I went back there about 9 months ago or 11 months ago, and I said, got that car that you said 2 years ago? And they say, oh no, it's now, and it's this, and it's, fuck off, like, who cares? That car sale is a fraud, mate. It's a fraud. Everybody's crazy.
From the,
of course, they would get alcohol and cigarettes too, but they couldn't use they would have to slide. You would have to pay cash for that.
Crazy was more crazy schizophrenia. I love you. Please come to me, please. I love you, God.
Mm-hmm. But they'd be eating really, really good and a whole hell of a lot better than I did. And they would pull that EBT card out, and I would see that, and I would just grit my teeth, and I'd be like, these mother. Oh, God, this is. I mean, they would eat good food.
Yeah.
And so I just couldn't work the register because of just that reason. And now you have, of course, Sarah. We know that she was going to be buying $13 rolls of sushi with her EBT card. How do you feel about that, Sarah? That are people like me who were eating at one time in our lives when I was just getting started eating ramen and water because I would I refuse to sink to that level.
To get on welfare.
Well, think about it. Look, they're beating up on the scapegoating the welfare people.
Yeah, I am. I'm beating down on you right now.
No, Sarah, don't ask him to think about it. He's asking you to think about it.
No, I mean, okay, think about the $18 billion we forked over to Ukrainian war.
That's a problem. That. I agree. That's a problem.
That we forked over for.
But what about you? What are you doing to better society? What are you doing to better society? Are you not able to work?
She's calling talk radio.
Are you not able to go out and work?
Well, look, I want to bring up that we got the hearing aid for a lot cheaper. Okay, we need to celebrate that because we don't.
Did you finally buy the cheap hearing aid?
Well, look, there's women that have to scream and yell and shout because of the husband can't hear. You know, women are the one that.
I remember the story, Sarah. You were complaining about the price of hearing aids or whatever. We pointed out that you could get them online for like $60 or $70 or whatever. Did you finally go get the cheaper ones?
Well, look, we have a new
that's
policy.
a simple yes or no question.
Can't you just answer a damn question?
No, it's not nice about that. This is a new thing.
So did you or did you not buy the hearing aids?
Well, I have not. I might want to buy these hearing aids because it's supposed to be $1,000 cheaper now, just because you don't have to.
Is a concern, actually.
That's all the more reason to leave.
That's why you leave.
Though. You can't just stay in that relationship.
You know he's going to keep beating you.
Yeah, but all right, so are these, unlike New Hampshire, are these Californians we are discussing, are they prepared to defend themselves? Do they even carry guns? We're talking about a bunch of richers here. Do they actually carry?
I don't care if people think we can secede or not. That was never the point of this, said Jeff Burham, the local real estate developer who proposed the idea back in the summer. It's time for us to stand up and get our fair share. Whatever that means. Well, they do have the support of the county sheriff and the district attorney. They voiced support for the measure and told the supervisors in a meeting this week that the state isn't pulling its weight and it's failed its responsibility to invest in the prisons. Close the prisons, man. What are these people doing? You want to secede from California? You don't want to close its prisons while you're at it? Anyway, it's failed to properly fund its prisons. Invest in the prisons, state hospitals, and courthouses.
What about schools?
Well, they didn't mention schools.
I'm sorry. They said prisons.
So
Gotcha.
Just to clarify, they are wanting to leave the state of California because they're paying all this tax money into the state, but their government buildings aren't getting enough back.
That seems to be the case, yes.
Well, that's how it works, though, Ian.
But that's stupid.
These sound like a bunch of richers who are tired of their money going to poor neighborhoods.
Yeah. That's what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
But it's also, that's the reason why the government's behind this, right? So, it's weird to see a city council voting to put secession on the ballot.
Yeah, but it's more money for them.
But that's why they're doing it. They say, well, we could be spending this money locally and making our government services like the prison better. More buildings, more bureaucrats. This is all about bigger government, of course. But that's what you'd expect from California.
Yeah, and I don't think it would lead to secession or anything like that. The state of California would be like, all right, we'll give you 10% more each year or whatever. And then, this whole thing will blow over for a few years and they'll forget about it. San Bernardino County is larger than 9 states and has an $8.4 billion budget, a speaker pointed out at a board of supervisors. But the county ranks 36th out of 56 counties per capita revenue received from the state and federal governments, according to data analysis. So despite being larger than 9 states and having an $8.5 billion budget, they're not even one of the top counties in California
as far
as receiving money goes. The region is entitled to more resources to accommodate its growing population, said the mayor of Fontana.
A Venusian phosphine scoop.
Boom, boom, bam, bam, ba, boom, boom, planet. Lunar planet, the planet, future question. Hallelujah. God, 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 God. I love you, love you, love you, love you. Nice. Beautiful. YouTube, share. Platform YouTube. Don't be shy to join YouTube. YouTube is nice, beautiful YouTube. Everything is YouTube. YouTube's the best planet in the world. YouTube, I love you too. YouTube, anything. Can up YouTube. The YouTube. I love you. Please reply. Listen and reply. Intermix Hector YouTube channel. Subscribe.
This week on Planetary, NASA probes that are expected to launch in 2028.
Yeah, very much. They're calling on different people of our team, depending on expertise, to understand chemistry or modeling atmospheres in computers or whatever.
Listen and reply. Sexy, listen and reply. Sexy, listen and reply.
The Da Vinci people have been particularly generous and just held a round table meeting, inviting people to put forward ideas, because they have their instrument package is pretty much, the design is finished, but they found a way to slot in kind of a fourth bit of wavelength to one of the instruments, which is a laser spectrometer. So they were saying, get your bids in for what you'd like it to be. So we went in as both Team Phosphine and Team Ammonia, both of which would be great biomarkers. So I was, sneakily putting myself on both teams. And then there's some other really interesting molecules up for consideration as well that might tell us a whole lot about the volcanoes, or looking for rare isotopes that would tell us more about the molecules and atoms that are left in the atmosphere. It'd give us a real clue to the past of Venus, because the lighter ones fly away in this event that's thought to have got rid of the oceans and the water that may have been there. So you can calculate how much atmosphere was lost from these heavier and lighter isotopes, as I understand it. And so we could get some idea if Venus had oceans. So this is all thrilling science. So in a way, it doesn't matter which instrument they manage to put on as this fourth channel, or even if they can't do it, they already have super exciting plans. But yeah, Team Phosphine and Team Ammonia, which Dave is telling me is now called Team Phosmonia or something like that. We're hoping they might pick one of our molecules.
I go Team Phosmonia, I suppose. So much to look forward to. Other than talking to these groups that are going to be launching these spacecraft before too long, what's next? I mean, what are you and your team currently working on in terms of what can be done from down here on Earth?
Well, we're still thinking radio astronomy, and this is something we have the data in hand, but we're not quite finished yet. So we use the enormous Green Bank telescope in West Virginia. So it's this 100-meter across radio telescope, which is an amazing facility, and did proper radio astronomy. None of these millimeter-sized waves that JCMT and ALMA do, but proper centimeter-sized jobs. Proper radio astronomy.
No comment from me, because I'm, of course, a big fan of ALMA, but yes, okay, I get it.
I'm a big fan of all of this, but they very kindly gave us a couple of hours to look for ammonia. So we're hoping something will either come out of that data, or that having done this crazy thing with this giant telescope that they've never done before, that we would get another shot to look for it. So ammonia would absorb at this wavelength near 1 centimeter if it's in the clouds. So we're really hoping to get a handle on that. Turns out I couldn't find any radio spectrum of Venus ever taken in this waveband by any telescope ever since the 1960s. So at least we have the first radio spectrum, whatever it's telling us.
This is a shot in the dark, but I know that you mentioned the Breakthrough folks, Breakthrough Institute or Foundation, and they, I know, have time on the Green Bank telescope because they put some money into saving that facility. Is that at all related to the work you're doing, the observation time you have there, or is this just the Green Bank NRAO people saying, yes, this looks like a great project?
Yeah, I think they're just great people out there, and they're open to new ideas. So I believe the SETI instrument can piggyback on whatever regular observations are going on, or perhaps they can make use of time that other people can't for very narrowband type signals, like when you're tuning your car radio to try and find some really narrow signal. I believe that's what the SETI people are doing, looking at nearby stars, and maybe they can do that while nearby stars go past in the course of other people's projects. So not directly related, but I am very excited about what they're doing as well, yes.
I loved your closing slide in your Catley lecture presentation. Had snapshots of your team. It looks like a fun, diverse group.
Yeah, they've been great people to work with. And, still, I've never met quite a lot of them face to face. We've had these amazing team Zooms just to say hello, where somebody's got up at 3 a.m. in Japan and is giving us a very tired wave, or, it's breakfast time in Hawaii or something, that could not have done it without them. So I try and put up those shots whenever I can. And, in some ways, the most important person on the team was Elisa Lee, who operated the telescope for us, because we didn't go out to Hawaii for the original few hours. She was operating the JCMT. And, these are people in the community that, I've never met, but, we're all doing science together. So Elisa is African-American, I believe. She was doing this while doing her student studies, studying science, just as kind of a job to make some money, was what I was told. So it's great, the diversity and the participation that we've had with these people I wouldn't have expected to work with on a more regular project.
Just seemed like another nice benefit of this work that is underway, that has brought this group together. I want to propose that whatever we learn about the Venusian atmosphere, even if we learn that there is some more plausible source of this phosphine than life, or that it's not there at all, that you have played a big role in reigniting interest in this world by scientists, by space agencies, and mere fans like me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I find this a bit astonishing as I'm just sitting here in my flat, trying to survive the last of the pandemic, looking out the window of my apartment. It seems odd that I've poked NASA along a bit, but, and along with the team, there would have been no publications without the important things that, the team did. There would have been no chemistry, no biology, no nothing without them. So I should say the 19 of us on the team were the ones who poked NASA rather unexpectedly, and the other space agencies. So I hope not too many people are annoyed that the missions got funded at the expense of something else. But, I think it's what we need to do as a human species, is keep taking a look at what's around us.
Keep poking away, Jane. Wouldn't it be just delicious if we discovered life above Venus before we found evidence of life, or even past life on Mars? That would be quite something.
That would be quite crazy. I think what kind of hit me in the face was I'm starting to think maybe there's life in all these environments, because life is so tough. If we turn around in a few years and we're like, well, obviously on Venus and on Mars and inside Europa and Enceladus, why wouldn't there be? It might be a situation now we're going well, why wouldn't there be planets everywhere? Which seems so crazy if you look back now at a 30-year-old, maybe a child's textbook, going we will never know if there are planets around other stars. Ask somebody who's under 30 now, and they're like, how did they write that? That's so dumb. So yeah, maybe the next textbooks will be going, how did they write? We will never know if there's life on other planets.
I want to be around when the need to revise those current textbooks comes around. I got just one other question for you. It's another shot in the dark. Have you received any drawings of those phosphine belching penguins that live so happily in the high, cool Venusian clouds?
No, sadly I haven't. Though we did get a very odd message saying it had been a question in a Japanese quiz show. And so they phoned up rather confused to go, is the correct answer yes penguins or no penguins? And all that, my team were like, what? Can you explain a bit?
Right. We have a very
drawings. We need the drawings of how the penguins fly and so on.
All right, we're calling on you, listeners. We have a very talented group of listeners out there, and I am challenging anybody out there. You can send to me at planetaryradio@planetary.org your rendering of penguinaceous life in the clouds of Venus, and I will pass them on to Jane and her team. Deal?
Please do.
Okay. Jane, it is always a delight. Thank you for joining us again and for this great work. I look forward to talking again, or whoever is in this seat I know is going to want to talk to you again.
Thank you so much.
That's Cardiff University professor and astronomer Jane Greaves. I'll be back with Bruce in a minute with more to say about that Venusian penguin art invitation.
Hello, I'm George Takei, and as you know, I'm very proud of my association with Star Trek. Star Trek was a show that looked to the future with optimism, boldly going where no one had gone before. I want you to know about a very special organization called the Planetary Society. They are working to make the future that Star Trek represents a reality. When you become a member of the Planetary Society, you join their mission to increase discoveries in our solar system, to elevate the search for life outside our planet, and decrease the risk of Earth being hit by an asteroid. Co-founded by Carl Sagan and led today by CEO Bill Nye, the Planetary Society exists for those who believe in space exploration to take action together. So join the Planetary Society and boldly go together to build our future.
Hey, it's time for What's Up on Planetary Radio. So here's the chief scientist once again, the chief scientist of the Planetary Society. That is, please help me welcome Dr. Bruce Betts.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here again, Matt.
It's good to have you back.
Been a long time since we've talked.
The secret word of the day is, can you guess?
Penguin.
Yes! He wins the Chevy Nova.
No ba.
Well, anyway, there are more penguin goodnesses ahead, but first, tell us what's up in the night sky. Is there a penguin constellation?
In the penguin culture of Antarctica, there is. Interestingly, the penguins have... never mind. Focus. So, focusing, there are no penguins in the sky because, they can't fly. But there are planets spread all across the night. As long as it's not cloudy, you should be able to see a bright planet. In the evening, we've got Saturn just past opposition, so it's rising, still right around sunset in the east, setting around sunrise in the west. Jupiter rising a couple hours later in the kind of early evening, not surprisingly due to the rotation of the Earth. This time, they're coming up in the east. Mars coming up around midnight, middle of the night, and looking reddish, and super bright Venus still hanging out low, but hanging out in the pre-dawn east. And so it's a festival. Mars will be joined by the moon on the 19th. That's the night of the 18th, and going into the 19th. You can also, with or without the moon, see the Pleiades star cluster kind of near Mars, and the moon is in between them in the morning of the 19th. Blah, 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 blah. One more thing, the moon is near Venus, low down in the pre-dawn east on the 25th.
That's a nice bunch of combos. I was able to see Saturn last night, but it was the first clear night we'd had in ages, so I missed the Perseids. If I'd have been able to see them from this urban skyscape in the first place.
I saw a pre-dawn Perseid.
Ooh,
rare for me, since I used to stay up all night with friends and watch them. But the dogs nicely woke me up, and we were chasing some kind of animal out there around 3:30 in the morning, and got a meteor in.
That's great.
Little side story. All right, let's go on to this week in space history. It was Voyager 2. Voyager 2 launched in 1977. Voyager 2, still going way out there. It's impressive.
And we're going to celebrate the 45th anniversary of both launches in just a couple of weeks here. So we'll go back out to JPL. We're going to talk to Ann Druyan as well, one of the people behind the Voyager Golden Record, along with her soon after it was created husband, Carl Sagan.
Wait, after he was created, or?
You know, if you want to create a Carl Sagan from scratch, first you have to create the universe.
Wow, that was trippy, man. Kind of meta the way you built in his lessons about the universe. Okay, so on to random space fact. Dang it, I'm really off my game today.
Oh, I like that.
This is something highly technical that you may not have thought of, or maybe you have. An anagram for astronomers is moon starers. That's a very hard word for me to say, but someone who stares at the moon. Anagram.
Wow.
Also, kind of backwards, it's also an anagram for no more stars.
Oh, no. Oh, well, after the heat death of the universe, I imagine.
Oh, dude, you're bringing me down again.
I'm sorry. Bring us back up again.
Let's move on to the trivia contest. What solar system moon has the highest surface gravity? Something that I find not intuitive because it depends on a couple of parameters. How'd we do, Matt?
We got quite a few nice responses to this one. Here is the opening salvo from our poet laureate, Dave Fairchild, in Kansas. Io is a spouting moon, volcanic, we can tell, a mass of vivid colors, a sulfuric burning hell. It's made of rock and silicate, so it's plain to see why Io ranks the highest with its surface gravity.
Nice.
Nice little ditty.
Indeed, it is Io, moon of Jupiter, with a surface gravity of 0.183 g, so of the surface gravity on Earth.
Or as David Churn in Missouri called it, that smoky little trickster. Love that phrase.
You know, that is totally, in the planetary science community, they use that term. Because they couldn't decide, you know, it's like Io, Eo. How about the smoky little trickster? Everyone agrees.
According to Norman Kossoon, though, Io was hardly a trickster. He says that, as was Zeus's wont, he had an extramarital affair with the nymph Io, whom he callously turned into a cow when his wife Hera discovered the illicit dalliance. Don't have a cow, man.
No wonder she's mad and filled with volcanic fury.
Yeah, that would make me erupt. Christopher Trunk in Pennsylvania. Io deserves more scrutiny and should be considered for a dedicated mission or redirection of the Juno spacecraft after it finishes its primary mission. I think you got a good point there, Christopher.
Very interesting. It's very challenging, which is there actually have been proposals that have not successfully won for Io missions, but the challenge is it's so deep inside Jupiter's nasty radiation belts caused by its spinning magnetosphere that it's really unhealthy for spacecraft. So even the spacecraft that do see it, typically the plan is to dip in, see it, and then dip back out again.
Yeah, get the heck out. Couple of poems to close with. Roger Gown in New Hampshire. With Bruce's instructions I sought to comply-o, though I feared it might make me cry-o, but I just had to give it a try-o, so my answer, it's Jupiter's Io. Yeah, it's including your name that got him in there.
Yeah, that makes me happy.
And then this kind of long one from Gene Lewin, another of our regular poets up in Washington. Dancing on the surface here, you'd be light on your feet. Still, your poor old trotters just couldn't stand the heat. The dance floor is expansive. Watch where you place your dogs. It's covered in calderas. You'll need asbestos clogs. This place is radiating 3,600 rems a day. It smells a bit like sulfur. It's a small price to pay, so why be such a wallflower? Io is where we'll be. Let's trip the light fantastic. Thank you, Arthur Murray.
A very positive view on Io and its environment.
Yeah, Arthur Murray, no relation to the great Bruce Murray. You're one of your mentors.
We can neither confirm nor deny that.
You know what? I never told you who the winner was, but I will now. It's
they probably
Thomas.
want to know.
Thomas Ancillary, who's been listening since at least 2016, and this is his first time as a winner there in Colorado. Congratulations, Thomas. You have won yourself a copy of that really beautiful book. It's basically an art book. Carbon, One Atom's Odyssey by John Burnett. It's still for sale all over the place. We just happen to have another copy. It does trace the sort of lifespan of one carbon atom as it proceeds across the universe and through various incarnations. It's just a terrific book, all with these beautiful drawings done by John. I think we're ready for another.
This one's hard. I did a quick look at looking this up. Some of you might know this. You might be able to deduce it. You might be able to guess it. The internet is vast. But with the penguin theme, I could not resist. What planetary society project, I'll give you a clue, it was a space flight project. That doesn't mean a spacecraft. It just means it's a project to fly something in space. What TPS space flight project had a penguin as part of its logo? Go to planetary.org/radio contest.
Wow, I've been around for 22 years almost, and I don't know the answer to this one. So, yeah, that's a good one. You got until Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time on August 24th to get us the answer for this one. Here's the prize. It's another book that I discovered we have a spare copy of. We've given it away before, and I'm happy to award it again. The Spacefarer's Handbook, Science and Life Beyond Earth by Birgitta and Urs Gans. And I hope I'm not mangling their names too badly, but that's what I do. It's really good. It's from Praxis, Springer Praxis Books, and it's a neat little handbook, richly illustrated, and that's what will go to the winner this time around. Sticking with this week's penguin theme, I just want to bring up again that little, it amounts to a contest, I guess, an art invitational. I want to sweeten the pot a little bit on that offer to all of you to send us your artist concept of flying, phosphine, belching penguins in the Venusian atmosphere, which almost certainly are not there. We'll award at least one Planetary Radio rubber asteroid to someone who submits the art that they have created to go with this theme. More penguins, Bruce.
Your scientific caution is truly impressive. Almost certainly not in the Venus atmosphere. All right, everybody, go out there, look up in the night sky, and think about: would you rather see penguin poop from space, or see penguins up close but have to smell it? Thank you. And good night.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I guess I would go for the former because I've been close to penguins without thick glass between us, and they're dirty little birds. I'll tell you, I don't know if that was phosphine I was smelling or not, but it really smelled bad.
I've heard it's bad.
That's Bruce Betts. He's keeping us honest because he's the chief scientist of Planetary Society, and he joins us every week here for What's Up? Planetary Radio is produced by the Planetary Society in Pasadena, California, and is made possible by its penguin-loving members. But after all, who doesn't love penguins? It's not a requirement for membership in the Planetary Society, but it doesn't hurt. Planetary.org/join. Mark Hilverda and Ray Pauletta are our associate producers. Josh Doyle composed our theme, which is arranged and performed by Peter Schlosser. Add penguin. I mean Astra.
What happened? The battle. Oh, hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah. Santa Maria, Madre de Dios. Oh, hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah. Sexy and you are sporty. Family. Economics. Extraterrestrial. Okay, I must go now. Subscribe to Intermix Hector YouTube. Intermix Hector YouTube. Sporty. I love you. Australia. Chile. Australia. I love you too. Sporty. Subscribe. I love you.